Captain Myra Al-Sadi sat in the cockpit of her sleek starfighter, the Aurora Hawk, as it drifted above Earth's blue atmosphere. The golden light of dawn spread over city lights below, and she watched the curvature of her homeworld. Heartbeat steady, a calm mix of focus and excitement. She loved the soft hum of the engines and the cool touch of the control panel beneath her fingers. Today's training flight promised routine tasks, navigation drills, target practice in the simulation field, and a review of emergency maneuvers. Mira ran each system check in her log, her vision cleared as she put on her helmet. She listened to the gentle beep of the life support indicator. She felt a calm focus wash over her. These moments reminded her of when she first dreamed of flying. As a child, she had studied old Earth pilots. She remembered the stories of heroes who answered calls for help. Mira felt pride in being selected as one of Earth's best pilots. Every detail mattered, and she made sure nothing was missed. Just as the simulation program loaded, a new alert appeared on her console. It was not in any civilian database. The light flashed in a soft purple, and the beacon code read unknown. Origin. Mira frowned. The signal pointed toward a region well beyond mapped space, the Sci-Fi's expanse. She recalled Earth's strict protocols against civilian flights in that sector. She tapped the alert and heard a distant pulsing sound in her headset. Mira brought up the signal's waveform on her HALA display. The pattern was unlike any Earth frequency she had studied. The pulses carried a faint harmonic undertone, almost like a sorrowful melody. She increased the signal strength filter, and the sound grew louder yet fragile. Her fingers hovered over the scan controls. In that moment, she felt both fear and compassion. The unknown origin tugged at her heart, and she knew she could not simply ignore the signal. Mira hesitated. The rules were clear: no probes, no interference. Yet she remembered the stories of explorers lost in deep space. She could not ignore a plea for help. Her breath caught as she weighed her choices. She thought of the frightened voices she might leave behind. The beacon pulsed again, and she felt her chest tighten with compassion. The code read like a song of despair. Someone, or something, was in real danger. At that moment, her screen lit. Up with her flight recorder reputation of flawless missions and quick rescues, Earth Command trusted her skill and judgment. Myra's jaw set with quiet resolve. She tapped the override key. The starfighter shuddered as external protocols unlocked. She set a new course for the expanse. Her chest fluttered with nerves and excitement together. She could feel her pulse in her ears as she confirmed the emergency jump coordinates. Mira felt a surge of adrenaline, a sign she was about to change her life. The Aurora Hawk's engines glowed brighter as Mira engaged the quantum drive. A soft vibration rolled through the cockpit. She closed her eyes for a moment and held the throttle steady. Memories of her family flashed before her. Her younger brother's laughter, her mother's proud smile. I'd always wanted to protect those she loved. Now she would protect whoever or whatever had sent that plaintive signal. Her hands moved with careful confidence, guiding the ship toward the uncharted darkness. In the moments before hyperspace, Mira took one last look at Earth. The pale blue orb spun below her, a gentle reminder of home. She pushed the controls forward. The stars ahead stretched and blurred. A brilliant ribbon of light wrapped around her cockpit as the Aurora Hawk dove into the unknown. Myra's ship soared through the tunnel of light. The hyperspace corridor shimmered with glowing threads that pulsed like veins of a living galaxy. She sat quietly, her hands steady on the controls, but her mind was full of questions. What sent that strange signal? What kind of ship was it? Was there still time to help? The Sci-Fi's expanse was a place Myra had only read about in restricted files. Maps showed it as a zone of shifting gravity and unstable space currents. Many explorers had tried to chart it. Few returned. Some called it cursed space. Mira didn't believe in curses, but she knew one thing: you needed courage and skill to fly through it. Luckily, she had both. As the warp tunnel began to ripple, Myra tightened her grip on the controls. Her ship shook slightly. A warning flashed on her screen: gravitational distortion detected. The expanse was near. She took a deep breath and whispered to herself, "Steady, Mira. You've got this." The warp corridor broke apart, and her ship dropped into normal space. The view outside was both beautiful and strange. Clouds of violet gas floated like waves in the dark. Giant pieces of broken rock spun silently, lit by distant stars. Mira felt a chill run down her spine. The place was quiet, too quiet. She scanned the area. At first, nothing. Then a faint blip appeared. Her heart jumped. The signal was close, but weak. She pushed the throttle and flew toward it. As she came closer, her eyes widened. Floating in the distance was a large, unfamiliar ship. It was badly damaged. Its outer hull had deep cracks, like it had been torn by something violent. Parts of it flickered with broken lights. And yet it was still there, still holding on. Mira circled the ship slowly. Her sensors picked up life signs, faint but real. Someone was still alive inside. Her voice trembled as she tried to connect. "This is Captain Myra Al-Sadi of Earth. I received your distress call. I'm here to help. Please respond." There was no reply. Just static. Mira's heart sank, but she refused to give up. She studied the ship's design. It didn't match any known alien races. It looked graceful, almost like it had been grown. Instead of built, parts of it glowed softly like it was breathing. She moved in closer, preparing to dock. Her fingers worked quickly, matching her ship's airlock with the unknown vessel's entrance port. The process was risky. If anything went wrong, her ship could be damaged too, but she didn't hesitate. As the airlock sealed, Mira put on her helmet and activated her suit's oxygen system. The door opened slowly, revealing a dark corridor, filled with strange symbols and glowing lines. The air smelled faintly of smoke and something floral. She stepped inside. The hallway was silent. Myra's boots echoed gently as she walked. She held her scanner in one hand, following the path toward the life signs. Her heart beat faster with every step. She wasn't afraid, just deeply focused. Then she saw them. A group of tall, thin beings lay on the floor of a central chamber. Their skin was pale, their eyes closed. Mira rushed to the nearest one. Her scanner showed a heartbeat weak, but steady. She looked around. The place was filled with strange equipment and softly humming crystals. One of the beings opened its eyes slowly. They were large and silver, full of pain but also curiosity. It stared at Mira and whispered something in a voice that sounded like wind and music mixed. Mira's translator tried to catch it. One word came through clearly: "Help." Mira nodded gently and knelt beside them. "I'm here," she said softly. "I won't leave you." She knew then that this wasn't just a rescue mission. This was the beginning of something much bigger, something that would change her life and maybe even Earth forever. Mira moved quickly but gently through the alien ship. Her boots made soft thuds against the glowing floor. The air was heavy, but her helmet kept her safe. Around her, strange lights blinked in patterns she didn't understand. The alien she had first spoken to, tall, silver-eyed, and weak, was now awake, leaning against a curved wall. Mira had wrapped a thermal blanket around them, and their eyes followed her with quiet trust. She touched her earpiece. "Still no signal to Earth," she whispered. The interference in the Serafi's expanse was strong, her ship's communication. Systems couldn't get a message out. She was truly alone, with no backup, but she didn't let fear take over. These aliens needed her, and she had already made her choice. Mira scanned the room again. There were 5 survivors in total. 2 were still unconscious. One had a bandage on their leg made from some kind of soft metallic cloth. Didn't understand their technology, but she admired how elegant everything looked. The ship felt less like a machine and more like a living being. Soft lights pulsed like heartbeats. Warmth came from the walls. It was nothing like Earth designs. The silver-eyed alien spoke again. Mira's translator crackled, but finally began to understand the language. "Name, Lyra," the voice said slowly. "Ship, attacked. Damaged." Lyra coughed, a dry sound that hurt to hear. Mira offered water, and Lyra accepted with trembling hands. "Who attacked you?" Mira asked gently. Lyra shook their head. Not ... shore rocks. Fire, sky opened. Mira thought hard. Maybe a meteor swarm. Maybe some kind of natural event in this unstable region. Either way, the damage was clear. The alien ship had lost power. Most systems were broken. Without help, it would have drifted into the dark forever. She walked to the control panel. The screen glowed faintly, showing rotating energy diagrams. Her suit's tools connected to the panel, and Mira started scanning the systems. Main engine offline, she murmured. Life support failing. Power core unstable. She looked at the strange crystal engine that sat in the center of the control room. It was cracked, with bright lines like spider webs across its surface. Every few seconds, it flickered weakly. Mira bit her lip. This was serious. If the power core failed completely, the ship might lose oxygen. Or worse, it might collapse from inside. I can try to fix this, she said. But I need your help. Lyra nodded slowly. Their eyes were tired but full of hope. One of the other aliens, shorter, with golden patterns on their skins, stood up shakily and pointed to a storage panel. Mira opened it and found glowing tools shaped like stars and feathers. She had no idea how to use them, but maybe, if they worked together, they could find a way. For the next few hours, Mira and the aliens worked side by side. She taught them Earth hand signals. They showed her how their crystal energy moved through. Curved tubes and floating wires. There were no words for many things they needed to explain, but their eyes and hands spoke volumes at one point. Mira's fingers slipped and a spark jumped. Ow, she hissed, pulling her hand back. Lyra reached out and touched Mira's hand gently. Brave, they said. Mira gave a small smile. Just doing what's right. Time passed slowly. The ship groaned now and then, like it was sighing. Sweat formed on Mira's forehead, but she didn't stop. Her thoughts were focused on one goal: keep these people alive. She had never felt so far from Earth, yet never so sure of her purpose. As the final connection clicked into place, the crystal core lit up with soft blue light. The hum returned. The lights grew stronger. The air felt warmer. Myra stepped back, breathing deeply. She looked around the room. The aliens were smiling, their eyes shining with emotion. Lyra placed a hand over their heart, then gently over Mira's. Thank you, ... Earth pilot. Mira swallowed hard. That simple gesture filled her with pride and something deeper connection. They were no longer strangers. They were a team, survivors, friends, and this journey had just begun. Mira stood near the glowing crystal core, feeling a quiet sense of relief. The engine was stable now, at least for a while. The soft hum of power returned to the ship, like a heartbeat slowly waking up. Dim lights along the walls brightened, and fresh air flowed through the vents. The alien crew, though still weak, began to sit up and move more. Soft cheer filled the air, spoken not with loud voices, but with grateful eyes and gentle smiles. Lyra, the silver-eyed leader, walked. Beside Myra, leaning slightly but standing tall, they spoke softly. You gave our ship life again. Mira shook her head. We did it together. Their bond had grown in just a few hours, built not on words, but action, kindness, and trust. Mira had saved lives before, but this felt different. Deeper, like she was part of something far greater than herself. But the joy didn't last long. Suddenly the lights flickered. A soft alarm tone rang through the ship, calm but urgent. Mira's head snapped up. What now? She whispered. Lyra rushed to a control panel. Strange symbols danced across the screen, shifting and flashing. Myra watched closely, waiting for the translator to make sense of it. A message appeared. External storm approaching. Magnetic wave impact imminent. Mira's heart sank. The Seraphi's expanse was known for its unstable energy storms. She had seen them from a distance during simulations, but this was real and dangerous. The wave could overload the ship's systems again, or worse, tear it apart.
We need to
shield the core, Mira said quickly. Lyra nodded. Crystal not strong alone. needs harmony. Mira didn't fully understand, but she trusted Lyra's voice and eyes. Together, they hurried toward the engine chamber, where the cracked core glowed faintly with energy. The other alien crew members followed, bringing delicate tools and glowing stones. Mira opened her ship's emergency toolkit. Their technology was very different. She believed they could make it work. If they combined their strengths, Mira knelt beside the core and placed a stabilizer from her ship around the base. One of the aliens gently slid a golden ring over the top. Lyra placed 3 glowing crystals in a triangle pattern, their hands moving in a slow, careful rhythm. Outside the ship, the storm began. Bright flashes of purple and green danced across the void. Magnetic waves hit the outer hull like silent thunder. The ship trembled, but Mira stayed focused. A sudden jolt knocked her to the floor. The power flickered again. She stood up fast, heart racing. "We're losing it," she cried. Lyra looked at her with calm eyes. "Your ship, ... it has strong heart." Mira blinked. "You mean, connect it?" Lyra nodded. "Together, we balance. Human and our kind both light." Mira didn't hesitate. She ran to her docked starfighter, still connected by the bridge. Tube, she opened a channel and rerouted energy from the Aurora Hawk's backup systems to the alien core. Wires sparked and lights danced. Her ship groaned under the pressure, but it held. Inside the engine chamber, the crystal began to glow stronger, brighter. The storm outside slammed into the hull, but the ship no longer shook. The new combined power formed a protective field, humming with warmth and unity. When the storm finally passed, silence returned. Mira stood there, breathless, as the engine glowed with a steady, peaceful light. The aliens looked at her with tears in their eyes, not of sadness, but of joy. One by one, they placed their hands over their hearts and bowed slightly. Lyra stepped forward, voice soft but full of meaning. "You risked everything, for those you did not know." Mira smiled gently. No one should be left alone in the dark. In that quiet moment, surrounded by glowing lights and thankful hearts, Mira felt something she hadn't felt in a long time: belonging. Not just as a pilot from Earth, but as a part of something bigger. A bridge between worlds, a symbol of hope. The silence after the storm felt like a deep breath. Mira stood quietly, her eyes on the glowing engine core. The ship was alive again. Warm lights danced gently across the curved walls, and the air no longer smelled like smoke or fear. Everything felt calm, but Mira knew their journey was far from over. She returned to the control room with Lyra and the other alien crew members. Though still weak, they moved with more strength now. Some helped each other walk, while others adjusted panels and checked systems. Mira smiled as she watched them. They were survivors, and so was she. Lyra placed a hand on Mira's shoulder. "We live because of you." Mira shook her head. "You helped me too. We all worked together." She meant it. Saving their ship hadn't been about one hero. It had been about trust, understanding, and the courage to act even in the face of fear. Suddenly, a soft beep echoed through the room. Mira turned quickly. Her console flashed with a new signal communication link. Restored. Her heart jumped. She tapped the screen. A small window opened, showing Earth Command's emblem. "This is Earth Command," a calm voice said. "We received your emergency signal. Captain Mira, respond if you can." She tapped the mic. "Earth Command, this is Captain Mira Al-Sadi. I'm alive. I've made contact with an unknown alien vessel in the Serafi's expanse. Survivors are on board. Ship is damaged but stable, requesting assistance." There was a long pause, then the voice replied, "Copy that. Help is on the way." Mira leaned back in her seat, closing her eyes for a moment. Relief washed over her like a warm wave. Help was coming. She had done it. But Lyra looked unsure. "More ships." "Good," Mira nodded. "Yes, they're coming to help. You're safe now." Still, Lyra's eyes held a quiet worry. Mira realized something. These beings had never met humans before. They didn't know if Earth's ships would bring kindness or questions and fear. Mira knew what she had to do. She stood up, walked to the center of the room, and looked at the alien crew. "I will speak for you. Earth will not harm you, I promise." Her voice was soft but steady. She had earned their trust, and now she had to protect it. Lyra stepped forward, eyes shining with emotion. "You are Bridge." Myra's eyes filled with tears. That simple phrase meant so much. A bridge between two different worlds. A pilot who had followed a cry for help and chosen to care. With the power restored, Mira helped the aliens gather food, water, and supplies from their storage rooms. They shared small, glowing fruit that tasted sweet and cool. One young alien offered Mira a silver cloth, woven with light as a gift. She accepted it with a gentle smile. They laughed softly together. No one needed words. Their joy was clear. In their faces, their gestures, their peaceful silence, Mira had never felt this kind of connection before, not even among her own people. It was simple, honest, and real. Later, Mira sat near the large window at the front of the ship. Stars drifted by slowly. She watched them, her eyes full of wonder. So much of the galaxy was unknown, so many voices still unheard. But today, she had listened to one, and because she did, lives were saved. As the first lights of Earth's rescue ships appeared in the distance, Mira felt a deep peace inside her. Not just as a pilot, but as a person, Lyra sat beside her, silent for a while. Then, softly, they said, "You came." When all hope was gone, Mira smiled. Sometimes one light in the dark is enough. And as Earth's ships drew closer, Mira knew this wasn't the end. It was the beginning. Bright lights from the approaching Earth rescue ships shimmered in the distance like stars moving toward them. Mira stood at the window of the alien vessel, her heart full of emotions, relief, pride, and a strange sadness she couldn't explain. She had done what she came to do. She had saved lives. Yet, something inside her whispered that this connection, this bond, was not something she was ready to let go of. The alien crew stood beside her, watching quietly. Lyra, their leader, placed a gentle hand on Mira's arm. "You, not just rescue," they said slowly. "You are family now." Mira felt tears touch the corners of her eyes. She looked at the faces around her, so different from humans, yet so full of the same feelings: fear, hope, gratitude, and love. "You feel like family to me too," she replied softly. Soon the Earth ships hovered nearby. Myra opened a channel. "This is Captain Mira. The alien ship is stable. Life signs are strong. Request peaceful boarding." She spoke clearly, making sure there was no misunderstanding. She wanted Earth's team to approach with kindness, not suspicion. "Understood." "Captain," the lead responder replied. "Boarding with medical and science teams only. No weapons." Mira sighed with relief. Minutes later, the Earth rescue shuttle docked. The doors opened with a soft hiss, and humans in white suits stepped inside. Some held scanners, others carried medical kits. They moved slowly, carefully, their faces respectful and calm. The aliens watched with quiet eyes. Mira stood between both groups. She introduced Lyra first. "This is Lyra, the ship's captain. They trusted me when everything was broken. Please treat them with the same trust." Lyra bowed slightly. One of the Earth medics smiled and did the same. The moment felt small, but powerful. Two different worlds, finally meeting not with fear, but with peace. As medical teams began helping the injured aliens, Mira walked with Lyra to the engine room one last time. The soft hum of the repaired core filled the space with calm energy. "This ship," Lyra said, placing a hand on the glowing wall, "was almost lost. But now it remembers." Mira nodded. "It's more than a ship. It's a story, one that needs to be told." Lyra turned to her. "You." Mira placed a hand over her heart. "I will." Back in her own ship, the Aurora Hawk, Mira, sent her final report to Earth Command. She didn't write about just the repairs or the dangers. She told them about the kindness, teamwork, the way two different species had worked side by side without a single weapon, without a single angry word. She wrote about the storm and how they survived it together. Hours passed. The alien ship, now strong again, prepared for departure. They had shared all they could. Their home was far beyond known space, and now, with the help of Myra's repairs and Earth's final adjustments, they could return. Lyra stood by the airlock as Myra approached. They held something in their hand, a small glowing crystal. "For you," Lyra said. "It holds memory. It holds light." Mira accepted it with care. "I'll keep it safe." They shared one last look. No more words were needed. Their hearts understood. As the alien ship slowly lifted away, Myra stood at the window of her starfighter, watching them disappear into the stars. Her hand touched the crystal. It pulsed gently like a quiet heartbeat. Myra whispered to herself. "They called," I answered, "and now the galaxy is smaller and brighter." She smiled softly. In her heart, she knew she had not only saved lives, she had built a bridge between worlds. One built on hope, courage, and simple human kindness. The stars were calm again. Mira sat alone in the cockpit of the Aurora Hawk, gently holding the glowing crystal Lyra had given her. It was warm in her palm, as if it carried a heartbeat. Outside the window, the alien ship was going to vanish into deep space, heading home. Only silence remained in the Seraphi's expanse, but it wasn't the kind of silence that felt empty. It was the kind of silence that follows something beautiful, a peaceful silence, a silence full of meaning. Myra closed her eyes and breathed deeply. Everything that had happened, the distress signal, the storm, the rescue, the teamwork, it all felt like a dream, and yet it was real. She had lived it. She had felt it in her heart. Back on Earth, people would call her a hero. They would talk about the pilot who flew into forbidden space and saved a ship no one had ever seen before. News channels would tell her story. Her name would be spoken across the stars. But Myra didn't care about fame. What mattered to her was something much simpler. She had been there when someone cried out for help. She had answered. And because of that, lives were saved. And a bridge between two very different worlds was born. A soft voice came through her ship's com. "Captain Mira, your report reached Central Command. They're calling it the Hope Encounter. They want you to return for a full debriefing." Mira smiled faintly. "Copy that." Preparing for jump. She didn't rush. Instead, she took one last look around the Seraphi's expanse. The glowing gas clouds, the scattered stars, the mysterious silence. It had once been a place of fear, but now, to Mira, it felt like home. Because here she had found purpose. Here she had made a difference. Her ship's controls blinked gently. Everything was stable. Everything was ready. She tapped the jump drive and watched as the stars began to stretch. The engines purred like a soft song. In her hand, the crystal glowed a little brighter, as if it knew the journey was not over but just beginning. As the ship slipped into hyperspace, Mira thought about the future. Would humans and Lyra's people meet again? Would Earth be ready to welcome them? She didn't know, but she had hope. Sometimes hope was all you needed to light the way forward back on Earth. Days later, Mira stood before a hall full of people. Officials, pilots, scientists all, waiting to hear her story. But when she spoke, she didn't talk about danger or fear. She talked about trust, about helping others without knowing their name, about how kindness can cross even the greatest distances. She ended her speech with a simple line, "They sent a cry into the stars." I was lucky enough to hear it. The crowd was silent for a moment, then stood and clapped. But even as they did, Mira's heart remained in that quiet space beyond the stars, where a broken ship had once floated alone, and where a connection, stronger than technology, had been born. Later that night, Mira placed the glowing crystal on her desk. It still pulsed gently, like it remembered everything too. She sat by her window and looked at the sky. Somewhere out there, Lyra was flying home. And Mira knew if ever there was another cry for help, no matter how far, it would be heard. And Earth